Hey guys, I'm out here doing a little bit of scouting. Thought I heard something in anticipation of bow season opening soon. We got a early September bow season this year. I found a black locust tree. I wish I found one about this big around, but it's a wee little guy. But I wanted to show you some of the thorns that are on this thing. Ready-made fish hooks, really. Check this out. You see that guy? That's a mean thorn right there, and strong. Look, I can't even break it off. Oh. I just got stabbed trying to break that one off. Look at that. And see, you could tie your line right here around these two barbs. And you can leave the barbs, just tie your line around it and cut that little bottom piece off, put you some bait on there, and that is a ready-made fish hook. And I do mean a strong one. These things will go through your boot. So, good to know that this tree's here. May utilize that for a later video. Right now I'm just looking for deer sign. Ready for some whitetails. Time to stock the freezer if you ask me. Still a little warm, so got to kind of keep your eye out for yellow jackets nests and stuff like that. Wow, that trail has been run down. It's almost worn smooth. Look at this. I don't know if you can see it right here. It goes all the way up right here across that log. That's a good trail. That's a real good trail. Probably use multiple times a day. Looks like there's a big oak over there. Maybe able to put a tree stand in that big oak. Even in this one right here. That red oak right there, that's about the right size. And I could get way up there, cut that vine loose and get way up there. Something to think about. So yeah, I may be coming out here. Look at that. That's today. That's a doe. It's a good trail too. This trail goes all the way through and comes back out towards the hardwoods over there. That was earlier today. It's not shiny, so it's not super fresh, but it was today. Little piece of bone there. Check that out. I don't need it. Pretty decent little rock right there. That gives me an idea. I think I'd like to set a Paiute. Another good game trail right there. Yeah. This season's gonna be a good one. Okay, so one thing to remember is that primitive trapping is illegal here. So you do have to, you can practice building the traps, you can practice where you set them, but you do have to destroy the trap, or, you know, remove the trap before you leave the area. You can't bait this and leave it set. It is illegal. If you get caught, there will be fines, so on and so forth. That being said, a few things that you have to build this is your weight, which is the part that's going to fall on top of them. You need some kind of a platform. I've learned this over the years, that having something for this to fall onto is a lot better than it falling on the dirt. A lot better. Need a few different kinds of sticks. So this is what we're going to make our trap out of. The Y stick for the upright to hold the weight up. This will be the bait stick, and then we'll split this little piece down right here and make that the trigger. So that being said, I have some cordage that I made, some yucca cordage, that is going to work just beautifully for this. So we're going to use this. I do carry cordage on me at all times in every way, shape, form, or fashion. This was a little bit of cordage that I had. I made a nice little M on it before I traveled. But it's just an extra 2 feet of cordage just to have, and it's never in my way, so it's always there. So it's always good to have something for cordage. You can even, you know, replace your boot strings with paracord, and you know, I know a lot of people that do that. But back to the trap. First things first, I want to make sure that my upright is going to be tall enough without, you know, it being super high. That might work. Maybe if we bring it down here, that might work. As long as it doesn't push it in the ground. Because you don't want it to be really, really high. Because the lower you can keep it, the less time that animal has to run away before it falls on it. So, might have to play with it a little bit. So we'll start with this then. And I do like to use dry sticks, some dry wood, whenever I make this stuff. Reason being is green wood's flexible. You put it under weight and it bends. And eventually it bends to the point that it kicks off. So I prefer to use dry wood. Dry wood can be a pain because of the fact that it's a little harder to carve. But if you want the trap to last a little while, then that little bit of extra time is worth it. Alright, now we have that figured out. I have to split this stick. I'm going to use my knife. It's already got a little crack there, so I'm just going to move my hand. I'm going to move my hand away from the edge of the blade before I start to apply pressure. And then I'm just going to slowly apply pressure and kind of work it down. Once I have it in it, I'll pull it the rest of the way through, and there's a flat. Carve it just a little bit flatter because you don't want it to roll. And you'll know what I mean once you start practicing this. If that thing's got a little twist in it, you see the twist? Then it'll roll with you. That's pretty flat right there. And you can make both sides flat. You don't have to. It's just preference really, but that's fairly flat. I think that'll work. So the next is the trigger stick. Knock some of these little points off of it. Trigger stick, that's how easy it is. Then you want to make a kind of flat side. It don't have to be perfectly flat, but a kind of flat end. Okay, now that we have all of our pieces, trigger stick, trigger, Y stick for the upright, and the, I'm gonna call it the weight stick. I don't actually know what it's called. It'll be alright though. You get the idea. Once we have all this put together, make the Paiute. Gonna take our counterweight stick, the weight stick, whatever. We're gonna tie our cord around the end of it. Now this doesn't have to be some kind of crazy special survivalist knot. I'm just going to do an overhand, just a square knot, I mean, sorry. And there it is, that knot's tied. See that? And look how strong. It's not going anywhere. Remember, this is for mice and squirrels. This isn't for a bear. If you think you're gonna go out and catch a raccoon with this, then, I mean, you might be able to, don't get me wrong, but it's unlikely. It's more likely you're gonna catch a mouse, or you're gonna catch a squirrel. Now we gotta set this thing up right here and find out just where we need it at. That looks about right there. So we had it set up. I kind of just measured the distance of the rope of the cordage, how far it needed to come out to the trigger. Here's the trigger. So again, a very simple knot. This cord's a little bulky. I made this for something else, but then started using it on other little projects. There we go. And there that is. We can cut this tag end off. Ooh, see how strong that stuff is? Alright, so there's that part of the mechanism. Let's prop it back up here. See about how long our bait stick needs to be. So that needs to come down a little bit. Tricky little traps. Ha ha. I had to come to the other side. I couldn't keep doing that. I'm wanting to turn. Find that sweet spot for it. Every rock's different, every stick is different. So it doesn't always work exactly like you want it to, exactly every time. Sometimes it does, sometimes it's nice to you. Most of the time, it's a pain in the ass. See, I gotta shorten that up a little bit. I want it to be about right there. So, now that we figured that out, gotta take it all the way back apart. I've got it marked with my finger here. Cut it to length. Now that it's cut to length, we'll try to set it all the way this time. Like I say, you just have to play with it. You gotta find that sweet spot. You don't find that sweet spot, it's a struggle. Ooh. My tip may be a little too sharp on it. Put that down a little bit. Or it may still be just a little bit too long. And the more sensitive the trap, the harder it is to set. If it's real easy to set off, it's real hard to set. Uh-oh. And that happens all the time too. Ah. That's so close right there. I can feel the tension on it. It may just need to be a little bit shorter. Our bait stick may just have to be just a little bit shorter. Yep. Alright, so there it is. It took me a minute and had to tweak it back and forth. That's the Paiute Deadfall. So you got your bait stick pinned up against it, trigger stick, cordage that comes around to the weight stick that sits in the V-notch of the upright. If I were a little mouse and I was scurrying along here, scurry, 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 I climbed up here and you had something on this stick that I liked. I mean, I could nibble at it just a little bit, but as soon as I go to push on, that's it. That's one dead mouse. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Like I said, you watch these videos, these people, they set these traps and it's just an instant thing. I'm going to tell you right now that there is nothing to do with anything with primitive technology or survival that is instant. You have to work for every bit of it. Everything that you do is made twice as hard because you're having to use sticks. Yeah. But this trap didn't work out the way that I wanted to set it the first time. Instead, I made the modification. I twisted the trigger stick around a little bit more. Worked out perfect then. The Paiutes that I used, because everybody saw me use the little pull stick, which I did because I had really bad insomnia and couldn't sleep, so I might as well sit up and hunt that way, get my mice. Everybody calls them mice anyways. I'm from Georgia, it's a rat. But but I had Paiutes set out everywhere. I actually modified my figure 4s that I had made at first into Paiutes because the trigger is so much more sensitive. That being said, that's the way that I had them set on alone. Some of them I could just twist to the front because I kind of squared off the front of my upright. I just kind of twisted to the front and put the bait stick up against it, and it worked out really well. It's super sensitive, ridiculously hard to set. Now, once you had it tuned in perfect, the bait stick and the upright and everything, once you had that set made perfectly for those stones, it worked out great. But until you get it set perfect, it's kind of difficult. But maybe next time I'll do a figure 4, show you how to cut your notches and everything and make that. Now that trap, you can get raccoons and possums and bigger game animals, but you just have to remember that the weight has to be, if you're like 5 times more than the target animal. So if you're wanting to kill a 15-pound possum, then you're going to have a fast math 75-pound weight to crush it. So just keep that in mind whenever you're setting traps. This will kill a mouse. This will not kill a possum. Also keep that in mind when you're setting your baits. If you set something like, I don't know, some kind of meat or anything like that, if you dip the stick in fat and try to set it for your bait, for your trigger stick or whatever, your bait stick, if there's any raccoons or possums or anything like that around, they're going to smell that. They're going to come for it. They're just going to take the stick. That might hit their hand, but they're pretty quick. They might just be able to grab and yank it out of the way, and all they have to do is set the trap off, and they'll flip that rock over and get that stick and take off with your bait stick. So just keep that kind of stuff in mind while you're doing it. And I don't know, next time we'll do the figure 4 trap, and maybe I'll show you how to do it with a log instead of just some stones that I picked up. I'll show you how to do it with a log, where your log will fall where you need it to. And that's one that you can use to kill bigger game, well, bigger small game anyways, your raccoons and stuff. But till next time, we'll see you guys later. If you like the video, please think about subscribing. Hit the notification bell. Maybe doing some live videos coming up, I'm not sure. But see what happens. Till then, see you guys later.